Need to pass GED math? Then you're going to want to learn how to beat algebra questions. Algebra is not the only topic you need to know for GED math, but it is an important one. And in this video, we're going to walk through examples of algebra questions, and I'm going to teach you tips, tricks, and strategies to hopefully help you pass faster and get a higher score on GED math. Now, I believe that the GED test is a stepping stone towards bigger and better things in life, whether your goal happens to be going to college, getting a better job, joining the military, whatever your goal happens to be, I want to help you get there faster, and we're going to get started right now. Please match the equations to the solutions. So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, we'll go over the answer. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to try this out if you wanted to, so let's talk about it. And these types of questions I think are very valuable for learning because you're really answering 4 different questions in one here. Depending on where you're at with your studying, this problem might be a review for you, or it might be the first time you've seen something like this, or at least the first time you've seen something like this in a while. So I'm going to kind of start from the ground up here as I explain this. So we see that we have a plus 5. And to get the a by itself, we have to ask ourselves, what is the opposite of addition? And the opposite of addition is subtraction. So what I have to do to get the a by itself is subtract 5. So 5 minus 5 is 0. So essentially what happens is when I subtract by 5, the 5's cancel out. And that gives us just a on the left-hand side, which is what we want. But there's a rule that whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other. So if I subtract 5 on the left, I also have to subtract 5 on the right. So what is 20 minus 5? 20 minus 5 is 15. So the answer here is a equals 15. So let me clear this out of the way here so we have some more space to work on the next one here, but the correct answer here is 15. So now let's break down 10c equals 30. 10c equals 30. And the name of the game here is to figure out what c equals. In other words, we want to solve this equation for c. Okay, that's just a fancy way of saying we want to get the c by itself on one side of the equation. So 10c is 10 times c. And the opposite of times is division, all right? So the opposite of multiplication is division. So to get the c by itself, what I need to do is divide by 10. So when I do that, the 10's cancel out, which gives me just c, which is what I want. But remember, there's a rule in math that whatever I do to one side for a question like this, I also have to do it to the other side as well. So I have to do 30 divided by 10 as well. So 30 divided by 10 is 3. So the correct answer here for this part of the question is c equals 3. So let me again clear this out of the way here just so we have some more room on the screen. So 3 goes right here. So now we've got x over 6 equals 10. And the name of the game here is to get the x by itself. So I've got x over 6 equals 10. So how do I get the x here? Well, since I've got x over 6, that's x divided by 6. The opposite of division is multiplication. So now what I'm going to do is multiply by 6 over here. Okay, so when I do that, the 6's cancel out, leaving me with just x. And whatever I do on one side, I also have to do it to the other. So I'm going to come over here and multiply by 6 on this side. So I'll see that x equals 60. So the answer that goes in the blank here is 60. So let me clear this out of the way. And now we already know that the answer here is 45 because it's the only one left, but I'm going to work through this example anyway because it's just important because this is such a fundamental skill here. So we see b minus 15 equals 30. So how do I get the b? The way that I get the b is I have to add 15 to both sides, right? So if I add 15 to both sides, I'll see that b equals 45. So the answer here is b equals 45. So we've got 15, 3, 60, and 45 as the solutions. Howard Generick and his wife Martha take their 3 kids, Bobby, Derek, and Kelly, to the theater to see a movie. The total ticket cost for 2 adults and 3 children to see a movie is $36. If each child's ticket costs 1/3 of each adult's ticket, how much does one adult ticket cost? So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, we'll go over it. Okay, so I'm going to write an equation here, and we know that the total cost for 2 adults and 3 children to see a movie is $36. So I'm going to write 2a plus 3c equals 36. And again, this just comes from the sentence right here that reads, the total ticket cost for 2 adults and 3 children to see a movie is $36. Now, we also know here that each child's ticket costs 1/3 of each adult's ticket. So we can say that C equals 1/3 times A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here into the equation where it says C, and I'm going to replace C with 1/3A. So let me rewrite this and I'll show you what I mean. So when I rewrite, I'll have 2a plus 3 times 1/3a equals 36. Now, what's cool about this question here is that the 3's are going to cancel out here, right? Because 3 divided by 3 is 1. So the 3's essentially cancel out right here. And I can rewrite this again as 2a plus a equals 36. And they're using some kind of power tool right now outside of my window. And it seems like I never hear the sound of power tools, and then I come up here to record, and then all of a sudden maintenance say up all these projects that they need to do when I'm recording. But it is what it is. Sorry about the background noise. But anyway, we've got 2a plus a equals 36. So 2a plus a, that becomes 3a. So really, I have 3a equals 36. So how do I get this a? Well, I'm going to divide by 3. And whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side as well. And 36 divided by 3 is 12. So the correct answer here is A, 12. Given the formula 6x equals 2y, parentheses z minus 1, parentheses, find x if y equals -2 and z equals 4. So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need. And whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Okay, so the goal here is to find x. And the way that I'm going to start this off is just replacing y here with -2, because we know that y equals -2. And I'm also going to take this 4, since we know that z equals 4, and I'm going to replace z right here with 4, and I'm going to rewrite this. Now, when you go in to take your test and you're working out problems like this, it's up to you if you want to take the time to write out each step. But for teaching purposes, I'm going to write out each step here. So again, this y I'm going to replace with -2, and the z I'm going to replace with 4. So I'll have 4 minus 1. So what is 4 minus 1? 4 minus 1 is 3. And what is 2 times -2? 2 times -2 is -4. So I'll have -4 times 3. So what is -4 times 3? -4 times 3 is -12. So I'll have 6x equals -12. And the name of the game here is to get this x by itself. So since I have 6x, how do I get the x by itself? Well, I have to divide by 6. So the 6's cancel out on the left, but whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other. So I've got to divide -12 by 6 as well. So the answer is x equals -2. So B is the correct answer here. This video's champion shoutout goes out to a test taker who recently passed math, which is awesome. And the test taker says, I want to let anyone know that if you're feeling discouraged, to never give up, you got this. I think that's a great message, and I just wanted to share that, and I wanted to wish this person congratulations. Ruth is 3 years older than Arnold. Ruth is 55 years younger than Dino. If the sum of all 3 individuals' ages is 88, how old is Arnold? So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. So there are different ways to look at this question, but the way that I'm going to walk through it here is by writing equations and then back solving. So we know that Ruth is 3 years older than Arnold, so I can say R equals A plus 3. Now we also know that Ruth is 55 years younger than Dino, so I can say that D equals R plus 55. Now, we also know that the sum of all three individuals' ages is 88. So I can say R plus D plus A equals 88. And the name of the game here is to figure out how old Arnold is. So I'm going to do this by back solving here. So let's say that Arnold is 22. So if Arnold is 22, how old is Ruth? Well, we know that Ruth is 3 years older than Arnold, right? We know that R equals A plus 3. So if Arnold's 22, Ruth must be 25, because 3 plus 22 is 25. So again, if Arnold's 22, we know that Ruth is 25, and we know that Dino is 55 years older than Ruth. So if Arnold's 22, we know that Dino is 80. Okay. So if we add up 22, 25, and 80, we get something greater than 88, so we know that A is not the correct answer here. So let's test B. So now let's say that Arnold is 9. All right, so if Arnold is 9, how old is Ruth? Well, we know that Ruth is 3 years older than Arnold, right? We know that R equals A plus 3. So if Arnold is 9, Ruth must be 12. And if Ruth is 12, we know that Dino must be 67, because 12 plus 55 is 67. So now let's do 9 plus 12 plus 67, and if we do that, we see that this equals 88. So the correct answer here is B. Please match the equations to the solutions. So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, then whenever you're ready to unpause the video and we'll talk about it. Okay, so I'm going to go through these one at a time here. So we have 6x minus 50 equals 100. Now, the way that I'm going to approach this is by ignoring the 6x at first, and I'm just going to deal with the minus 50 first. So I've got 6x minus 50. So what I'm going to do here is add 50 to both sides. Now, when I add 50 to both sides, what happens is the 50s cancel out over here on the left. So what I'm left with is 6x equals 150. So I've got 6x equals 150, and now I want to divide by 6 on both sides. So as we see over here, the 6's cancel out on the left, and I'm left with x equals 25. So I'm going to clear this out of the way here so we have more room, but we see that the answer to the first part here is 25. So next, I've got x over 5 plus 25 equals 26. And I'm going to start this by first getting rid of the 25. Okay, so I'm going to start off here by subtracting 25 on both sides. When I do this, I see that 25's cancel out over here on the left, and I'm going to get x over 5 equals 1, because 26 minus 25 is 1. So I have x divided by 5 equals 1. How do I get the x? Well, what I have to do is multiply by 5 on both sides. So if I multiply by 5 over here, the 5's are going to cancel out, leaving me with just x. But whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side as well. So I'll get x equals 5. So we already know just simply by the fact that 3 is the only answer we didn't use, that 3 is the correct answer for right here. But let me work this one out anyway, because this is an important skill here. So I've got 3 parentheses 2x plus 1 equals 21. So to get us started here, I'm going to distribute the 3. So in other words, I'm going to do 3 times 2x, then I'm going to do 3 times 1. So 3 times 2x is 6x. So basically what I do is I do 3 times 2, which gives me 6, and I bring that x along for the ride. So it's 6x plus 3, because 3 times 1 is 3. So I have 6x plus 3 equals 21. So now I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides here. So when I do that, I'll get 6x equals 18. So how do I get the x? Well, I get the x by dividing by 6 on both sides. 6's will cancel out here on the left, and 18 divided by 6 gives us 3. So the answer for the last box here is 3. So I should have 25, 5, and 3. Now, unfortunately, there's no way to know for sure exactly what types of questions you're going to get on your test because there are different versions of the test out there. But over my years of doing this, I've heard that slope questions come up a lot. A lot of test takers have told me that over the years, so it's really important to understand slope. And in the next question, I'm going to show you a basic slope calculation, and we'll walk through it together. A line passes through the points at coordinates -8, 4, and 2, 12. What is the slope of the line? Now, just to save you some time since we're just practicing here, I put the formula for the calculation on the screen here, but just know that on the test you'll want to go to the formula sheet that will be provided for you and you'll want to look up this formula if you have to do a question like this one. So let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready we'll go over the answer. Okay, so basically the way I like to teach these questions is to start off by labeling the numbers here. So let's look at our first pair of numbers here, -8 and 4. So the first number in a pair is always an x. So I'm going to call -8 x1. And the second number is always a y. So I'm going to call 4 y1. Now let me look at my next pair, right? The 2 and 12 here. So we know that the first number is always an x. So I'm going to call this 2, x2, and we know that the second number is always a y, so I'm going to call this 12, y2. So I've got my x1, y1, and x2, and y2. So now what I'm going to do is come up into this formula up here, and I'm going to plug the numbers in. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, don't worry, because I'm going to show you now. So I know that 12 is my y2, so I'm going to take this formula, and I'm going to plug 12 in for y2. Now I know that 4 is my y1, so I'm going to take the 4 and plug it into the formula here for y1. I know that 2 is my x2, so I'm going to take 2 and plug it into the formula here for x2. And I know that -8 is my x1, so what I'm going to do is take -8 and plug it in here for x1. Okay, so that's the basic idea here, and let me show you now what this looks like. So this little m symbol just means slope, right? So I have slope equals y2, which is 12, minus y1, which is 4, divided by x2 minus x1. And I know that my x2 is 2, and my x1 is -8. Now, 2 minus -8 is the same as 2 plus 8, because minus and negative is the same as plus. So we have 12 minus 4 divided by 2 plus 8. So what is 12 minus 4? 12 minus 4 is 8. And what is 2 plus 8? 2 plus 8 is 10. So now that we have 8 over 10, we notice that we don't see it as one of our answer choices. Well, why is that? Well, we haven't reduced it yet. All right, so we want to take this fraction and we want to reduce it, lower it, simplify it, whatever you want to call it. There's multiple words for the same thing. But the idea here is that these are both even numbers, and we can divide them both by 2. So what is 8 divided by 2? 8 divided by 2 is 4. What is 10 divided by 2? 10 divided by 2 is 5. So when we lower this fraction, we get 4 over 5. So A is the correct answer here. Your next question is on screen, so let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. So to get this question right, we're going to use the FOIL method. FOIL. And let me explain how this works here. So the F in FOIL stands for first. So to approach this, I'm going to look at the first term in each set of parentheses. So I'm going to do 4a times a. So 4a times a gives me 4a squared. So that's my F. Now I'm going to move on to the O. So the O stands for outer. So I'm going to do 4a times -7. Now it's really important to consider the minus sign here in front of the 7. So I don't just want to do 4a times 7. I want to do 4a times -7. So that gives me -28a. So what about I? I stands for inner. So for the I, I'm going to do 9 times a. So 9 times a is 9a. So when I update this, I'll have 4a squared minus 28a plus 9a. Now the L stands for last. So I'm going to do 9 times negative 7. Now again, it's really important to remember the sign in front of the 7. So if we just did 9 times 7, we're not going to get the right answer. So we have to do 9 times negative 7, which is negative 63. So now all we have to do is combine like terms and we're done. So when I say combine like terms, what does that mean? Well, that's really just a fancy way of saying I'm going to do negative 28a plus 9a. So that gives me negative 19a. So the final answer is 4a squared minus 19a minus 63b. Answer choice B is correct. On screen right now, what I'm showing is a diagram that just covers the FOIL method and explains what you multiply by what. And if you want to, you can pause the video and you can write this in your notes. But if you don't want to, that's totally cool. It's totally up to you. I just wanted to throw this out here in case you're interested. And whenever you're ready, we'll move on to the next question. In the champion facts segments of my videos, I like to pop out from behind the screen and answer a question or two from a random question generator, and I do this just to try to make the videos more fun and also to give you a quick break from doing math. And I haven't actually been doing these as much lately in my videos, and part of the reason is because it's getting harder for me to find questions I've never answered because I've done so many of these champion facts segments over the years. But let's see what kind of questions I get today. What kind of music do you listen to? I'm pretty sure right off the bat we've got a question that I've answered before, but I listen to a little bit of everything. Really, honestly, a little bit of everything. Whatever I hear that sounds good, I listen to it. I don't have just one specific genre. Okay, here's one I don't think I've ever answered. Do you sometimes reread your favorite books? Sometimes I do, but I definitely prioritize new books over going back and rereading old ones. Have you ever locked yourself out of your house or car? I have locked my key in my car before. Your next question's on screen. And if you'd like to, you can pause the video now and try this out, and then whenever you're ready, we'll go over the answer. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do here is just ignore the x's for a second, and I'm going to focus on the numbers. Now, I see that 5 is the smallest number, and I see that I can divide everything by 5. So let me divide all the numbers by 5. So what is 15 divided by 5? 15 divided by 5 is 3, and I'm just going to leave x to the power of 4 here. I'm not going to mess with the x's just yet. Now I'm going to do the same thing with minus 25x here. So what is 25 divided by 5? 25 divided by 5 is 5, and I'm just going to leave the x where it was. Now down here, right, if I do 5 divided by 5, I get 1. And I'm just going to leave the x alone. So if I just divide 15, 25, and 5 by 5, I get 3 times x to the power of 4 minus 5x divided by x. Now I'm going to divide each term by x. So if I do 3x to the power of 4 divided by x, I just get 3 times x raised to the power of 3. All right, so if I now do 5x divided by x, I just get 5 because x divided by x cancels out. And if I divide this x down here by x, the x's cancel out. So the correct answer is 3 times x to the power of 3 minus 5. But let me just back up here for a second here, and let's go back to this here where I had 3 times x to the power of 4, and I divided this by x. Why does that become x to the power of 3? Or why does that become 3x to the power of 3? Well, keep in mind here that this x, right, is really x raised to the power of 1. So now there's a rule here that we're going to subtract the exponents here. So that's why, because if I have 4 minus 1, I get 3. So that's why this would become 3 times x to the power of 3. I can put a link down below to a video where I cover power rules, exponent rules, whatever you want to call them in more depth, but I just wanted to kind of give you a quick crash course on that. The answer here is 3x to the power of 3 minus 5, which corresponds to answer choice C. And there's one more thing that I want to note here. You may have just looked at this problem and you might have seen that you could divide each term by 5x. So if you saw that, you could just skip this step in the middle and you could just divide everything by 5x and get 3x to the power of 3 minus 5. And if you did it that way, that's great. And actually that's going to be a little bit faster to do it that way on the test. But the way that I broke this down for teaching purposes is I started by just leaving the x's alone and dividing everything by 5, which is how I got this step. Then after that, I divided everything by x, which is how I got the final answer here. But like I said, just keep in mind, you can really skip this step in the middle if you want to. And if you looked at this, you could have just seen that you could divide everything by 5x, and that's a perfectly fine way to do it. So let me know down below if you have any questions on this. I know I threw a lot at you pretty quickly here, but we're going to keep rolling for the sake of time. The next problem's on the screen, so let me give you a chance now if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need. And then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video and we'll talk about it. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is just rewrite the question without the parentheses. So here's what it'll look like after I rewrite it without the parentheses. So now I'm going to look at the first term here. So I see I've got 2b raised to the power of 3. I want to ask myself, do I see any other terms that have b raised to the power of 3? Well, I do. Right here I have 4b raised to the power of 3. And the sign in front of it is plus. So what I'm going to do is 2 plus 4, and I'm going to bring b to the power of 3 along for the ride. 2 plus 4 is 6, and I just bring the b raised to the power of 3 along for the ride. Next, I see that I've got minus 8b. So I want to look and see if I have anything else that has a b in it. And I do, right here. I've got minus 4b. So I want to do negative 8b minus 4b, which gives me negative 12b. So all I did was I did negative 8 minus 4, which gave me negative 12, and I brought the b along for the ride. So the last step here is to do 15 minus 12, which gives me positive 3. So I have 6b raised to the power of 3 minus 12b plus 3. So the correct answer here is D. I heard recently that inequalities questions are coming up on the GED test, and well, again, there's no way to know exactly what questions are going to come up on your test because there are different versions of the test. It's important to understand how to beat inequalities questions, and the question that I'm going to show you now, I've actually picked it to be this video's Champions Challenge question, and in my opinion, the one that we're going to go over next is the hardest question in the video, and if you disagree and you think a different question was harder, if you want to, please let me know down below in the comments. So without further ado, let's get into this video's Champions Challenge question. So now's your chance if you'd like to pause the video, try to figure this out, take all the time you need, and then whenever you're ready, just unpause the video, and if you get stuck, absolutely no worries because we're just going to walk through how to do it. So to approach this question, I recommend breaking it into two separate pieces, right? So I took the 10 is less than or equal to 4x minus 2, and I rewrote that here as a separate case. And then I also wrote 4x minus 2 is less than or equal to 2x plus 12 down here as its own case. So I'm going to deal with each one separately here, and then I'm going to put the result together. And if you're not sure what I mean, absolutely no worries, because it hopefully will make more sense as I work through it here. But the first step here to handling a compound inequality question is to just break it up like this. When I look at the 10 is less than or equal to 4x minus 2 here, this less than or equal to sign, I really treat this problem just like I would if we had an equals sign here. Now, the only catch here is that with inequality questions, you have to reverse the inequality symbol whenever you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number. And I'll say that again because it's very important. So you must reverse the inequality symbol whenever you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number. So more or less what we're going to do here is treat this problem, that 10 is less than or equal to 4x minus 2, just like we would if we had 10 equals 4x minus 2. The only difference is that we have to check and see if we're multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative number. And if we do that, then we're going to have to reverse the inequality symbol. All right, so let's handle the question here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add 2 to both sides. So on the right side, if I add 2, the 2's cancel out, and on the other side, I have to add 2 as well. So I'll have 12 is less than or equal to 4x. And remember, I just want to get x by itself. So now what I have to do is divide by 4. And if I divide by 4 on the right side, the 4's cancel out, but whatever I do to one side, I also have to do to the other. So I have to do 12 divided by 4 over here. So what is 12 divided by 4? 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I'll have 3 is less than or equal to x. And I'm just going to let this hang out here for right now. And we didn't multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, so we can just leave it as 3 is less than or equal to x. So now let's come down here and let's handle our second case. 4x minus 2 is less than or equal to 2x plus 12. So here we've got 4x minus 2 is less than or equal to 2x plus 12. And we know that we're going to kind of solve this exactly like we would if we had an equal sign here. But the only catch is that we have to reverse the inequality symbol if we multiply or divide both sides by a negative number. So keeping this in mind, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And I'm also going to subtract 2x from both sides. So what does this accomplish? Well, if I add 2 on the left side, 2's cancel out, then I also have to add 2 on the right side. So I'm going to end up with 14 over here on the right side. Now also, since I subtract 2x from both sides, the 2x will go away here on the right. And over here, if I do 4x minus 2x, I just get 2x. So I'll have 2x is less than or equal to 14. So what I'll do here is I'll divide by 2 now on both sides. And when I do that, I'll get x is less than or equal to 14. Did I say that wrong? Yes, I did. X is less than or equal to 7 is what I should have said. So we have x is less than or equal to 7, and we didn't divide or multiply by a negative number on both sides, so x is less than or equal to 7 is what we want. So now we just put this together. So I have 3 is less than or equal to x, and then I also have x is less than or equal to 7. So this is how I put it all together. And when all is said and done, we see that C is the correct answer here. Now I'm going to put a link down below to my video on inequalities where I go over more examples. If you want to see kind of a lesson starting with more basic inequalities examples and working up to questions of this difficulty. So if you have trouble with this question and you want to see that video, I'll put a link to that down below in the description for you.